On to the bombshell report from Yahoo today. Players from at least a dozen Division I men's basketball programs have been identified as possibly breaking NCAA rules through violations that were uncovered in the FBI investigation into corruption in the sport. Current NBA players like Markelle Fultz, Dennis Smith Jr., and Kyle Kuzma are named in the report, as are big-name schools like Paul's own Kansas Jayhawks. Paul, what is your reaction to being on the list?
You know what? I'm not really that surprised because, for one, it's the big schools because the big schools attract the top-notch players. And in order to compete against the other big schools, something has to be done here. And I've been saying this since I was in college about 30, 40 years ago, that the players need some kind of compensation because then you eliminate all of this. It's not coming from the small schools, so you don't have to say, oh, can we pay our players? Because the small schools don't make the money that these big boys make. So there has to be some type of way the NCAA can compensate these players, and then you can eliminate. It starts at AAU.
It really does.
You know, it starts at AAU. It starts, with the shoe companies, and then it trickles on down. So if you can say, man, if I know I'm going to a college to where I don't have to worry,
look at some distant replay there.
Look at that. That's young Paul. I struggled. I couldn't even go to the movies. I couldn't even, I had to call my high school coach and say, listen, it's too cold out here in Kansas. I need a big jacket. You send me one. And that's probably the only gift I ever got.
What?
It's like, no, seriously though. I never took a gift. I had agents offer me things, and it was it's appealing because when you come from a poor neighborhood and you go to these big schools and you make the money and you make the money for the program, it's like, they're using the players.
Yeah.
They're using them.
Let's fact check a little of this. In the report, which if you go through and read Yahoo Sports, is most of the allegations, most of the money that was changing hands was going from an agent to a player. And this is all based on ledgers that were obtained in the Andy Miller sports management firm, right? Andy Miller's the guy who was Christian Dawkins' boss. This is the subject of the investigation. So they have ledgers. And we don't know that money actually changed hands. We just know that they showed up in the records. But this is an agent and a player. This is not a school necessarily in a player or a booster in a player. That's a whole other story that has not necessarily been investigated here.
It comes from all avenues.
But the truth is that there is money in college basketball, and not enough of it is getting to the players, and too much of it is going elsewhere. And somehow the NBA is going to get involved here. I have heard that they will have some kind of discussion about maybe even at the AAU level having academies like a European style, so that it nips this problem earlier.
Well, and that's good. NBA needs to be proactive in this situation, but it all boils down to the NCAA not being allowed to pay their players. And the misfortune about this situation is that when this report comes out, it's the players who are the face of this, as if they're the ones doing something wrong.
Yeah. Paul needing a jacket.
Yeah,
wrong.
And in California,
and at that time, if we were reporting on Paul Pierce back then, we were reporting on, it would be Paul Pierce's face with a jacket. We talking about a jacket here. And he would be ridiculed. The school probably lose. That's dumb. Look, what needs to happen? Look, it's agents. It's these shoe companies. It's all around us. I was actually expecting a little bit more to come out of this, and I think it will eventually. But it's much more so than just agents giving money to players, which I don't. They give them their money. Like I say, they come from tough backgrounds. They should be compensated.
The solution is, hey, give them a small job and then pay the players minimum wage. Give them a small job.
Or per diem or whatever you want to call it.
A bigger per diem or something. You know?
So, look, all of NCAA sports are based on this. Football and basketball make money for the rest of the programs. That money, instead of going to the players who are making it, is going to fund the rest of the other sports. Somehow that's out of whack and needs to get changed.